Okay, let's get into this Wuthering Heights.
What the hell is going on with the Wuthering Heights?
It is fundamentally wrong. It's just yet another adaptation from Hollywood that's trash.
And people are concerned.
I'm telling you though, between the white wedding dress and the white Heathcliff, messy!
It's going to make any kind of middle school bullying look like a day at the circus.
July 13th, 2023, director Emerald Fennell, who is most known for her films Saltburn and Promising Young Woman, took to X to change her bio and banner, following a post of some very erotic artwork announcing her new film, Wuthering Heights. Shortly after that, it was announced that Margot Robbie would be playing Catherine Earnshaw and Jacob Elordi would be playing Heathcliff. I knew they were up to something in those Chanel ads. It was all very suspicious to me, and this casting was one of many controversial decisions surrounding this film. Emerald Fennell, who is an actor and a director, with only having 2 feature films behind her, she is already garnered a reputation for causing a lot of discussion around certain choices she makes throughout her films, with both of her films being produced by Lucky Chap Entertainment. Lucky Chap Entertainment is a British-American production company founded in 2014 by Margot Robbie, Tom Akeroyd, Joseph McNamara, and Sophia Kerr, focusing on female-led and to produce unconventional stories by and about women. Producing films like I, Tonya, Barbie, Birds of Prey, is also set to produce the new Wuthering Heights, with Margot not just producing it, but also starring and leading in the film. With Wuthering Heights marking the first time that Emerald Fennell has adapted from original material, and many people have expressed their concern with her completely Saltburnify, one of the greatest gothic masterpieces to ever haunt the Yorkshire moors. Worried it would be too polished, too Hollywood, and too Saltburn. Now, I've seen many people talk about her doing a rendition of this, but we haven't actually seen any interviews of her talking about it yet. But this is what I thought, until I went a little bit deeper and found a 2023 interview of Emerald Fennell getting asked about the graveyard scene, that graveyard scene in Saltburn, and this is what she had to say. It's about the horror of grief and the horror of love. It comes directly from the Gothic tradition, because there's a scene in Wuthering Heights, one of my favourite books of all time, where Heathcliff sticks down to get Cathy's coffin, and the subtext is very much to do with a similar thing. So what we have in the film, it's not completely outlandish given the genre. So much of Oliver's desire cannot be stated. What he really wants is not possible, and even in the end, it's not possible. We have him getting a version of what he wants, but he's still alone. He's still there with the rocks and not the people. So it was really important for me that that scene held, and it was as long as it was. Obviously there was a lot of questions about why we didn't cut here or there, but for me it's about sitting in the discomfort. Sitting through the nervous laughter, through the horror, that's part of it. Why cut when we have it? Why cut when there's an actor dedicated enough to make this as strange and devastating and intimate as it is? Why cut when you're seeing something you've never seen before? That feels both horrifying and profoundly real, in an awful way. So by the sounds of the way she talked about Saltburn, it definitely gives you the impression that she will not be shying away from all the intense and shocking elements of this story, but more so lean into them. We can also see this erotic vibe by looking at the cover art, which we can kind of guess what this image is referring to. And we also know this from the first look image that they released of Heathcliff's fingers in Catherine's mouth, suggesting that it is going to be a much more erotic imaging of the novel. So before we get into all the drama, because there is a lot of drama, and by the end of this video, you're going to be coming away like a full-blown conspiracy theorist, because I generally believe something really crazy is going on, and I will share all my thoughts at the end like I always do. A very, very quick summary. I really just want to get onto the drama, but you need to know the basic story of Wuthering Heights to fully understand all this drama. Just as a little disclaimer, I'm not going to be saying the word that they use to describe Heathcliff. So, Wuthering Heights is a multi-generational story of love and revenge that revolves around the inhabitants of a desolate farmhouse called Wuthering Heights by Emily Brontë. Lockwood, the new tenant at Thrushcroft Grange, situated on the bleak Yorkshire moors, is forced to seek shelter one night at Wuthering Heights, the home of his landlord. There he discovers the history of the events that took place years before. Heathcliff, an orphan boy from Liverpool, was brought into Wuthering Heights by Mr. Earnshaw, where he and Catherine were raised together. Heathcliff the boy faces remarks made as belonging to a filthy, wild-looking and much lower class, and was not received well by most of the Earnshaw family, or their hired help, and endured years of torture and torment at the hands of Hindley. Heathcliff and Catherine fall in love, and though she loves Heathcliff, Catherine chooses to marry Edgar Linton, a wealthy neighbour. Bitter over her rejection, Heathcliff leaves Wuthering Heights. Years later, he returns and marries Edgar's sister for her money. Catherine dies around the age of 18 and 19 after giving birth to her daughter. Devastated by Catherine's death, Heathcliff is determined to enact his revenge on Edgar and the next generation. Wuthering Heights is among the 19th century novels that contributed to a shift of cultural authority in Britain, from the upper to the middle class, even to the lower class, by challenging traditional class structures and exploring the darker aspects of Victorian society. This cultural difference and social degradation or exclusion is indeed the real drive of the entire narrative of Wuthering Heights. That's a very, very quick, brief summary. The story has been adapted a few times over the years. In the 2011's adaptation with James Howson and Kaya Scodelario, and the 2000 two-part series with Tom Hardy and Charlotte Riley. But why has Emerald Fennell's version caused so much drama? Let's start with the cast. Margot Robbie as Catherine Earnshaw has left a lot of fans visibly upset. Now, Margot Robbie is a phenomenal, beautiful actress, very talented, that will no doubt give her all to this role. But as many people have stated, Margot Robbie is very different from the Catherine Earnshaw presented in the book. Now, even though I'm going to hate this, we have to talk about it because it's like one of the main concerns. The age discourse. Most of the complaints seen about Margot Robbie, who is 34, is that she looks too old to be Cathy, who in the novel, with her life being tragically cut short as she dies from childbirth before even reaching the age of 20. Meaning that, you know, throughout the film, it would be playing a 18, 17, 19-year-old teenager. This age disparity has left fans to question whether Margot Robbie, despite her incredible acting ability, can convincingly embody the youthful intensity that defies Cathy's arc. One user on Reddit wrote, "Margot Robbie is gorgeous, but the way that just looks very 2015. Now, there is people also annoyed because of the fact that she is blonde in the photos that got released, when Catherine has been thought to be a brunette. We'll get onto the whole dress debate later on. First, let's move on to the next lead actor, Jacob Elordi, as Heathcliff.
You're telling me you looked at the source material, you looked at Heathcliff and you went, Jacob Elordi. Jacob Elordi.
So we need to understand Heathcliff and his ethnic background. I'm going to go over a few points. If you want a more in-depth look into his character, I really suggest you watch this video by Princess Weeks. Honestly, I learned so much from, so I really would recommend you going and watch that video. Also, there's a piece that I found by Dr. Turkey S. Another really dives into and analyzes the discourse and background of Heathcliff. There have been several interpretations of Heathcliff's ethnic origin over the years. Whilst Brontë doesn't specifically say, she does clue readers into his identity by describing Lockwood's first impressions of Heathcliff from the very beginning of the novel. And when I say beginning, I mean page 5. Describing him as, Mr. Heathcliff forms a singular contrast to his abode and style of living. He is a dark-skinned in aspect, in dress and manners a gentleman. And also revealing that as a child, he was found in Liverpool. The story following Heathcliff's journey to a higher social class is a central theme and major plot driver to the story, initially entering the Earnshaw household as a lower-class orphan. Through manipulation, exploitation, and a sense for business, Heathcliff eventually achieves a level of wealth and influence that places him firmly in the upper class, even surpassing the initial social standing of the Earnshaws and Lincolns. His journey is not simply a matter of individual achievement, but also a critique of the rigid social hierarchy of the Victorian era. So, casting Jacob Elordi doesn't really makes sense in that whole narrative. Whilst the character has been played by white actors before, like Michael Stewart, director of the Brontë Writing Centre, said to the Daily Telegraph newspaper, "With Wuthering Heights, you've had many years of white actors playing Heathcliff, but things are different now. The way we represent certain people in art and culture comes with a responsibility now that wasn't there 20 years ago." There are also a lot of conspiracies floating around with people thinking that Jacob isn't actually playing Heathcliff, but Shahzad Latif, who is said to play Lincoln, is playing him instead. Now, the dress discourse.
If you listen really closely, you can hear the fashion historians crying.
Paparazzi photos from the set got leaked, with Margot Robbie in a white, off-the-shoulder wedding dress. The bridal look, which seemed as though it was more befitting of the 1980s, getting compared a lot to Princess Diana's wedding dress, with it not being accurate to the wedding dresses of the early 1800s. With a lot of people saying that the wedding dress of that time wouldn't have been white. Queen Victoria is often regarded as having started the trend of the white wedding dress. But while she certainly did help popularise the white gown in the 1840s, she was by no means the sole inheritor of the tradition. Women were married wearing white long before she chose to do so. Can you believe they were setting trends in the 1840s? They would have loved TikTok, I wonder what core they would be. They would be like Victorian core. And also the fact that the story is set 40 years before this popularity of the white wedding dress. So the historical inaccuracy of the dress isn't necessarily stemming from the colour, but where the problematic discourse is really stemming from is the dress's silhouette. I'm gonna play a TikTok now that really explains the whole dress thing and really dives deep into the problems.
This dress is way too modern for 1783, when Catherine marries Linton. Her dress would have been more in this shape. But I also want to know, why didn't they put a petticoat or two over that? Cage crinoline is showing straight through, like you can literally see the hoops. And crinolines wouldn't be invented until the 1850s. You would just have lots of layered petticoats. I'm telling you though, between the white wedding dress and the white Heathcliff, messy!
As of a recent interview by Jacob Elordi, the filming has wrapped.
You've been filming Wuthering Heights, is it done? Or?
It's done, finished last Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was beautiful.
No spoilers.
It was amazing. It's a truly epic romance, and Emerald Fennell is a genius.
It has been confirmed that the film is going to be set to release on the 13th of February 2026. Now, before I do my thoughts, I do have to say that there is a lot of discussion of people saying, why are you choosing the same actors that are in everything? Why don't you choose different actors? Like, that's another discussion that's brought up a lot, and saying that they're too modern looking. So I just wanted to add that in. Right, now we can get to my thoughts. You ready? This is my general belief, and I'm not the only one, so brace yourself. I generally don't believe it's going to be a period piece. I think it's going to be a possible modern day rendition of this story. Hear me out. It would fit and make sense with all these controversial decisions that have been made so far that we've seen surrounding this film. As we know, Emerald Fennell loves to leave the audience feeling uncomfortable, but also with a lot of questions. And Wuthering Heights fits perfectly into the genre that she likes to portray in her films. And like she said previously, that parts of Wuthering Heights inspired her in Saltburn. It wouldn't surprise me if she completely flipped the narrative of the original story and adapted it and came out saying it was a modern day telling of the story. If that's the case, I generally think that would be so interesting and cool. I came across a TikTok that really explained this as well. I'll put that on the screen right now, and you can go check out this person's page if you wanted to see that. I'm actually really excited for this film. If they do it like that, if they do it like the traditional novel, then I don't know why they've done it like that, because I don't think it's going to make sense, especially from what we've seen. But I'll probably see it no matter what, because I love the story. The question in the comments today is, do you have any conspiracies surrounding this film? Thank you guys so much for watching. Obviously, the Wuthering Heights discussion is a very deep one. Like, I'm generally really scared to make this video because there's so many opinions on it, and it deals with a lot of serious topics that I just don't want to get anything wrong. So I'm going to leave all my references in the description. Please go check out all these videos, especially the one by Princess Weeks. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a lovely day. And yes, I did curl my hair for this video. More of the story is we just need to get Kate Bush to make her rendition of Wuthering Heights, and it would just be amazing. And then she could have her own song as the soundtrack.
Is this you?
No, that's Kathy. In Wuthering Heights. That was who I was in that particular song. The whole song is like Kathy's a spirit at that point.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching.